You are.
Well,
We're ready down here.
oh,
I meant the
I know.
camera.
So she doesn't care if we're ready or not.
I was looking over
She
you.
doesn't care if we're ready.
I'm used to that, so.
I'm sorry, Bob. We will call the Grand Traverse County Resource Management Administration Committee of Wednesday, February 10th to order. Please rise for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Johnson?
Here.
Crawford? Here. Klaus?
Here.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Max Bauer? Here. Kropa?
Yes.
Commissioner Lathrop is excused.
On to the minutes. Any changes or adjustments at all? They will stand approved. On to first public comment. Bonnie?
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4 Order of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say, first of all, welcome. I know everybody is here to speak about the clerk and register merger. I just wanted to make sure everyone was clear that tonight it is not on our agenda, so there won't be any opportunity for discussion or questions to the board at all. Our item tonight is an administration item, which is just voting to set a public hearing or not. If the public hearing is approved, it would be next week, and that would be the time where you would have the opportunity to have a lot more interaction, speak, certainly ask questions, and the board will also be discussing the matter at that time. We are not at all ready to discuss this item this week, and we will look forward to the public hearing process if that passes, and then the discussion that follows that. Of course, anybody is welcome to speak in public comment tonight, particularly if you want to speak on an item as to whether, I'm sorry, as to whether we should set the public hearing date or not, since that is the topic for the evening. Hey, Bonnie.
Do you want me to stand up there or stay
You know
here?
what? I feel like you can stay right there.
Oh, thank you.
And everything will be good.
All right, and because half of you will be gone next week, this is why I wanted to talk tonight. You received a memo from Tom Menzel with his recommendation to merge the Clerk and Register of Deeds offices. His proposal states that he believes the elimination of an elected official will result in a cost savings of approximately $80,000 in salary and benefits. There was no plan presented on how to make this merger work. His plan was to figure it out later. Staff reclassification was mentioned, but he failed to also mention that you would need a chief deputy appointed to the place of the elected official to supervise that office. You cannot leave an important office like the Register of Deeds office without leadership. All this costs money and decreases the proposed savings. You're probably looking at a savings of less than $5,000 overall. Mr. Menzel has promised that a combination of offices would increase efficiencies. We're 2 of the most efficient offices in the county. Many of the clerk registers throughout the state have told me that combining these 2 offices did not save any money and had very little impact on increasing efficiencies. All of them had to appoint a chief deputy to supervise the Register of Deeds office, and most of them do not cross-train their staff due to the vast differences in the 2 offices. My vital records and circuit court records offices are also very different, and I do not cross-train that staff. The duties in both these offices are far too important to bounce the employees around and not have them be experts in their positions. Elected officials are held to a higher standard than the others who work in governmental positions. We answer to a much larger group of people who voted us into office and expect us to do a good job for them. Peggy and I have been very busy streamlining our offices and increasing efficiencies. Since I was elected, I have made significant changes to my offices. Our circuit court is the only one in the state that is completely electronic filing. This allowed me to increase efficiencies by merging my 2 court offices into one location, and due to these efficiencies, I was able to eliminate 1 staff position. It took months of researching and studying how I was going to achieve the merger in order to have it done successfully. I would never have made a decision to do something so large and initially disruptive to my staff without having a good plan in place first. Every year, I have tried to reduce expenses, and I have additional services to better serve my constituents and increase revenue. More and more responsibilities have been put onto the county clerk's office in the past few years without additional compensation to either the clerk or her staff. All boards have grand ideas of making changes when they get elected. I remember how excited all of you were when you got elected. I have heard this board, though, blame the previous boards for making poor decisions based on incomplete information provided from the previous county administrators and staff. Don't you think that you have an obligation to our constituents to get all the relevant information that is available and carefully study it before you make such a large decision, such as combining these 2 offices? This decision will affect all the people of Grand Traverse County, and once made, it cannot be undone for 4 years. Thank you. And I think I forgot to say my name, Bonnie Shealy, 4815 Lands End. I'm a little nervous being on that side.
Follow the rules.
I did time myself when I practiced this, so I know it was 3 minutes. I didn't hit the 3-minute.
We're the only people that are more comfortable on this side, I think, speaking. Anyone else that would like to speak? Come on up.
Thank you. My name is Amy Bissell. I'm the Benzie County Register of Deeds. I live at 752 Grace Road, Frankfort. I am also here today representing the Michigan Association of Registers of Deeds. I just want to read a quick synopsis of some of my feelings. These are 2 distinctly different offices that one cannot learn the responsibilities of both and perform well without errors. There are over 1,000 statutes between both offices. That's 1,000 statutes that both of these offices have to learn. One person cannot monitor those statutes without errors. Errors lead to lawsuits. You don't want a lawsuit on your hand. MLTA proposed a flat fee recording bill. The Registers Association has had to jump on the bandwagon with them and try to modify it to, hi.
I can hear you. That works.
Did you hear everything else or you want
Could
me to
you
start
repeat
again?
what you said? Flat fee
Flat fee recording bill.
recording bell.
Bill.
Bill. Okay.
A
Sorry.
flat
It's probably
fee
my hearing and not just the lack
I
of.
have a little southern drawl. I don't know. It's
very
not
nice.
Northern Michigan related. And the Registers Association has had to jump on board with that and try to modify it to work for everybody, for the oil and gas industry, for MLTA, which is the Michigan Land Title Industry, for the banks, to make everything conducive, and also to make it fair for our constituents who are recording in our offices every day. It has passed through the Senate, and it is now in the House. And when that passes, and we're hoping it passes yet this year, Grand Traverse County is looking at approximately $450,000 to be generated through the Register of Deeds office. And most of that money is going to be going into the general fund for Grand Traverse County. The land title industry relies on convenient, accurate, up-to-date records to issue title insurance policies required for a sale and/or financing most of the real estate transactions. By recording a deed, this creates a change in the tax rolls. But if a deed is not sent to the proper entity after recording, the new owner may not get his tax bill, and that creates a bigger problem. So many entities rely on these vital records. If this new combined office is to run efficiently and effectively for your constituents, it must be properly staffed to provide the services required. While the combination of the two offices may eliminate the salary of one elected official, it will most likely result in the creation of additional county personnel to account for the functions currently handled by that elected position. Peggy is a working register in her office. You can't take what she does and not put it somewhere. Somebody has to pick up that slack. I just want to conclude with Gladwin County voted today not to move forward with combining. Tuscola County has voted not to move forward with combining. Livingston County voted not even to go to the public hearing to combine. And Oceana County's administrator, who was pushing for the combination, has, after testimony at their public hearing and after diligently reading all of the letters, has sent a letter to their Board of Commissioners opposing now the combination. So I just ask that you read all of the letters that you have gotten. Call the registers, call the clerks, call the clerk registers, please, and ask them what a burden that is on their offices. And please do your due diligence before you make this decision, because as Bonnie states, it is a 4-year burden, and it does affect your constituents.
Thank you for traveling here.
Thank you.
Drive careful home. It's getting worse by the minute. Anyone else? Sure.
My name is Vicki Dell. I live at 10435 Dell Road in Kingsley. This is my county, and you're talking about basically how I make a living. I am an independent contractor, and I do searches and do a lot of study in Grand Traverse County, in the Register of Deeds office mostly, but there are times we also have to go over to the clerk's office for vital information to complete our search. My husband and I have worked in all 83 counties of the state of Michigan. I didn't get nervous until I stood up and came up.
It's better on this side.
Don't worry.
I have seen the good and the bad, and when it comes to being combined, I've yet to find one that works. I was born and raised in St. Clair County. I know how they worked before they became combined. Since they have combined, you never ever see the register in that department. She is solely consumed by the other side, and rightly so, because it's a tremendous job that is on Bonnie's shoulders as well as Peggy's shoulders with different things that they have to do. 100 years from now, when somebody comes in and looks at our records, they're going to know if you combine them when it happened, because the Register of Deeds office ultimately is the department that suffers in this. In my opinion, I do agree with the math that Bonnie has done. I've done a lot of math in the last few days trying to figure out, is this really a savings? No, it's so minuscule. It's actually $5,000 with what you're actually looking at is really correct. And you have to really do the math, because you're not dealing just with an elected official. You're also dealing with union workers and their pay raises and scale that will have to also change during a thing like this. Now, the one thing I do want to tell you is that if you want to see something else that I wrote, I have a little thing in the ticker on Monday. And I was trying to explain that there's so many different things that you need to look at. But in my genuine feeling, my husband and I are both very passionate about this, and that is, if you combine these two offices, you have to do such research in both departments and in the time constraints that you have been saddled with, which was not, I'm pretty sure was not your choice. But with the time restraints that you have been saddled with, you cannot do a complete justice to either department on what they do, what they have to handle, what kind of questions, what do people see. When we come in, there are times we have to ask somebody at the desk. You can go into any office, especially in our area, up here. You can go over to Benzie, out, but down to Wexford, go up to Antrim. Any of these offices you go to, everybody has a smile. Go to the offices, look at the employees that have a clerk register office. None of them are smiling. I think they have to have a job. They are strapped in that desk doing their job that they don't like because they are being neglected. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Sure. I'm sorry.
Good evening. My name is Nelson Asper. I live at 1590 River Drive. I am a taxpayer. I have more than one location, and I feel pay a great deal of taxes. One of the buildings I own, I pay over $20,000 a year in taxes. I feel that there's a Chinese saying that says, many hands makes light work. And I think that's true. Many hands do make light work. But in that statement that's true, it doesn't say many hands make efficient work or many hands make better work. I feel that as a taxpayer, we rely on you, our leaders, to have a county that gets the job done, does it efficiently, but does not have overstaffing. You have a problem. You have a big problem because of things that have been done in the past, things that you weren't responsible for, or even maybe people that are working there haven't been responsible for. Spending has been too free in the county and financially in trouble. And tough choices have to be made. I'm not saying the people that are doing the job now are not doing an adequate job. I'm saying that with technology, computers, and all the technology we have, that the job can be done much more efficiently, and that takes tough choices and possibly eliminating an elected official. I look forward to you thinking about this, making tough choices, making the choices that you were elected to make. And you've said that you want a more economically sound county. Well, now you have to make tough choices to do that. And I don't believe that your tough choices say, let's stick with the way we've always done it, and let's kick the can down the road till we're bankrupt. Please look at it from the standpoint that the taxpayer relies on you, and make the tough choices that need to be made. Thank you.
Thank you. I see a hand.
My name is Monica Hoffman. I'm the clerk of Peninsula Township. My address is 11786 Center Road, Traverse City, 49686. I'm just going to read my little statement if you don't mind. My comment is not to intend to be disrespectful to the commissioners or Mr. Menzel, but how can someone start a job and in 3 months know enough about the workings of 2 county offices to recommend combining them? I believe that a true evaluation needs to be completed of both offices before you can combine them, and 3 months is very inadequate, especially if no one has spent time with either department's heads doing the work. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up.
Peggy Haynes, Grand Traverse County, 3706 Zimmerman Road. I just moved. Bonnie pretty much summed up a lot of what I had to say, so I'm not going to go into that. I know you have received many emails and letters from people on behalf of the Register of Deeds office and just the combination in general, oil and gas people, so on and so forth. One of the letters, and I'm just going to read a quote from one of them, Van Buren County we are a county that is used as a comparable with Van Buren, and that has been the case. When we do studies, we compare ourselves to Van Buren, is because population and everything. And a quote from Paul DeYoung, the Register of Deeds there, states, "I am shocked that Grand Traverse County would consider combining offices. Grand Traverse County has one of the most efficient and probably the most profitable Register of Deeds office in the state." And that's from a study they've done in comparing themselves to the rest of the offices that they use for their studies. And I want to point out, and I'm not trying to be nasty, and this is nothing personal, Jennifer, but in late November, you voted to spend $100,000 plus of the taxpayers' money to hire one individual to assist our county administrator. Is this merger a way of offsetting that spending? I hope not. And I am asking you to consider the impact this will have on the entire community. Please drop this issue now and avoid any more public outcry, because a lot of people are pretty hot about it. So that's all I have to say.
Is there anyone else at all? Come on.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Patty Nepoth. I am the Register of Deeds for Antrim County. My address is 834 South Intermediate Lake Road, Bel Air, Michigan. I have been in the Register of Deeds office for 29 years. Hard to believe. I think I was just there when I was a teenager. I would like you to reconsider, really think about this before you combine the two offices. Obviously, I'm not in support of that. Nothing against the treasurer's office or the clerk's office, but God forbid if you do lose your home in a fire or flood, your first concern is going to be, where is my deed? You've lost your paperwork, you are going to come to the Register of Deeds office and you are going to be given a copy of your deed, proof that you own your house. So I just wanted to say that just to make you aware of that. So thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Is there anyone else? Come on up.
My name's Randy Bishop. I live in Antrim County, 11089 Wood Special Drive, Quaden, Michigan. I'm here tonight just to bring the board up to speed because I didn't see any of you, I don't believe, last night at the Traverse City Light and Power Board meeting. I'm also an owner of a radio station, WYPV 94.5 out of Mackinac City, and WHAK 960 out of Rogers City. And we are looking to expand into Traverse City. However, we are having some difficulties in internet capabilities here in Traverse City. One of the things they were talking about last night was their capital improvement plan for this next year, and they voted to take the consideration of bringing fiber optic high-speed internet into Traverse City. I'm also part of the TC New Tech group that has recently started here about 6 months ago. And the reason I'm bringing it to your attention is just so you're in the loop and understand that we, as private sector businesses, do want to bring more jobs and commerce into Traverse City. But there is a problem. It's a perceived monopoly by Charter Cable. They did the infrastructure investing to bring cable basically to northern Michigan, which we appreciate. But at the same time, they don't have the speed capacities that modern technology needs. Believe it or not, our studio's in Petoskey, our transmitter relay station is in Sheboygan, and our tower site is up in Mackinac City. Every morning when I do my show from 9 to noon, I'm sitting in my great room in Torch Lake, Skyping into the studio in Petoskey. That's all done because of internet. But by adding another link into Traverse City with the requirements we have with the FCC, we need higher upload speeds. Fiber optics to the city would bring commerce, would bring jobs, would bring industry. There's also a lot of people that would want to be able to work from home, that if you had this as a community, I believe you would become basically a mini Silicon Valley, if you will, for Michigan, especially northern Michigan. So I just wanted to express, because again, I didn't see you there last night, I wanted you to be aware of the situation so that if Traverse City Light and Power feels that they want to do a quasi public-private type of scenario and bring other vendors in. The county, if you're ever asked to vote in support of allowing them to do this, I would beg you, implore you to please consider doing it because it will be a huge sale for Traverse City, both for jobs, commerce, and potentially revenue in the form of taxing those businesses. So I just wanted to bring you up to date on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jean Fuller. I live at 11255 East Fort Road, Suttons Bay. I work in the Register's office. I've been there for 14 years. I had no intention of coming up here and speaking tonight, but I do really wish that some of you would come down and see what we do, both offices. There is just no way we can meld these jobs together. And the one thing that I'm thinking of right now that I want to bring to your attention is, aside from our regular daily duties of recording documents, when I started there, we were indexed back to 1986. We are back indexing daily. We do at least a page a day each. And we are now back to 1977, and I know Vicki would attest to the benefit that is to anybody that's doing any kind of examining to have those records accessible online. And, I mean, we're constantly doing this thing. And if we are melded into the other office, there'll be no time to do these extras. It's just not possible. Please give it more thought.
Is there anyone else that'd like to speak? Okay, I will close the first public comment. On to the approval of the agenda. I do have one change. You would have received an email from Jim Cook that we are removing item number A2 under Department Action Items on Road Commission. We're removing request to have road millage renewal, and that will be taken up at a later time. Are there any changes to the agenda by commissioners? No, or staff?
I would move to approve the agenda as amended with the exception of item 9A2. Be
Support.
specific.
Moved by Max Bauer, support by Wheelock. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are on to the consent calendar with Bonnie.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file or approval, is approved by a single committee action adopting the consent calendar. A, receive and file. Number 1, Conservation District Monthly Report. Number 2, County Staff Report. B, approval. Number 1, hauler licenses for 2016.
Okay, is there anyone from the board that would like to remove an item from the consent calendar? I would like to remove the staff report. Anyone from the audience or staff? Okay. Motion.
I would make a motion that we adopt the consent calendar with the exception of A2, the county staff report.
Support.
Okay, moved by Crawford, support by Johnson. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we have no special orders of business. We'll go to the item removed from the consent calendar, which was me. On to, I need to scroll for a moment here. One moment.
Page 8.
Okay. I know that construction code is under planning now, and we received an email update from the planning department, as we always do, on things that they're working, and they mentioned that, and they mentioned the soil erosion, the DEQ meeting as well in the email from the planning department. But as far as scrolling through, when you go through the department reports, I haven't seen soil erosion on here in my time on the board. And one of the questions when the DEQ audit came around as to, you know, why didn't we know we were being audited and what was going on? People say, well, you receive input from your staff, and we certainly do, but there's one department that seems to always be missing, and that's soil erosion. I don't know what's going on in soil erosion. I got a note from Jean, and that was great, but I don't think that soil erosion has moved to planning. I just would like to know what's going on in soil erosion, I guess. I just wanted to make a note that in the time I've been on the board, I have not seen that, nor has the department head been to address the Board of Commissioners since February of 2015. Just to know. Has anyone else seen anything from soil erosion? Have you received an email, an update, addressed the board? I missed one meeting in a year and a half, and Bob?
Well, I think the audit shows that even the department head didn't know what was going on in soil erosion. So, I mean, that's probably why you didn't see a report, is because there was no leadership in there, so.
They've got to be doing something.
Yeah.
I'm certain of it. And I just would like to see it. You know, I read each and every one of the lines in the staff reports, and I appreciate them. And I know that the department has put a lot of time into communicating and letting us know what's going on. But to those that wondered why we didn't know we were being audited, well, this is a really good example. I would love to see soil erosion show up in the staff report.
Can I offer a couple comments?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's in this one a little bit. Did you miss it? It is.
Yeah, but it's not a department in
No,
here.
it's not. It's under planning.
Yeah, but that was because Jean was kind enough to do that, although they haven't absorbed soil erosion. This is the first time I've received a soil erosion update of any kind in my whole time on the board.
And I appreciate knowing your concerns on that. I would be happy to go back to staff and work with them to get you an update and to get you regular updates regarding that process.
That would be great. Just, I'm very curious about winter. I know that their focus changes with the weather, as so many of ours do. And of course, preparations for the spring, and everybody hopes for an early spring, and all signs indicate that we have a good construction season ahead of us. But, yeah, we just don't know. So that was my point. I just wanted to be corrected if I was wrong, and anyone had received any updates of any kind from the Soil Erosion Department in the last year and a half. Okay. I will go ahead and move to receive and file the county staff report.
Support?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? On to department action items, the Road Commission. We are down to A1. Mr. Cook.
Good evening, Jim Cook, Grand Traverse County Road Commission. I am here to, I was hoping we wouldn't talk about item A2, but I am here to discuss the monthly report if you'd like.
First of all, I want to thank you for coming to the board and giving us reports and updates on what's going on at the Road Commission. We appreciate it. And to all the other department heads, we really appreciate that too. But I harass you enough. I know what's going on at the Road Commission, so I won't bother you. Christine.
Then it's my turn. Jim, the Road Commission, like every other department in the county, has an unfunded pension liability. What percentage are you funded?
We're about right around 66, 67% funded currently.
Is defined benefit done?
Yeah, well, we have probably 2 or 3 employees who have not retired yet that are under the defined
That are
benefit.
grandfathered or still?
They're under
okay.
the defined benefit program, but everybody else, and of course, we had made that switch in 96 or 97, so that's not quite as big an issue for us.
Okay, thanks. I was just curious.
Ron.
Jim, on the drainage districts, you don't mention the one in Long Lake Township, Cedar Hills. Is that done? Is that not a issue anymore?
We're actually waiting for Long Lake Township to come back to us. It's on hold right now, and they're looking towards a township combination private solution.
Okay. The Bramer and Old Mission, that there's done, is that they're going to just be taken care of locally, or the township taking care of it? Or?
Yeah, it's actually going to be a township drainage district, and we're working with the township and the residents to develop a private township solution.
Okay. So the Braemar, that never was a district, because if it was a district, then we'd be working with, right?
Yeah, there's some disagreement, whether it's an existing district, whether it's an orphan district, and again, we filed to form a district just
Right.
because we have an issue. And so it's actually being called a drainage district by, a township drainage district.
Okay, and where I was going with it was, I recall at the board meetings that if it didn't pass muster to be a drain district by the Board of Determination, that we wouldn't be having fees from the engineering firms and the attorneys. Is that, and I'm just wondering if we're able to recoup any of those funds back that we paid, because that's not a district by their standards now.
Yeah, I honestly can't answer that question because, again, we filed as a petitioner, and we actually provided $2,500 per district that we petitioned. So we provided some seed money, but I don't know what the actual costs were for the drain office. And again, and they operate under the drain code, and we're not part of that.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thanks for coming out.
Okay, thank you.
On to Heidi. Redemption of Pavilion's 307 bond for medical care debt for Cottage 21.
Yeah, I was approached by Corey over at the Pavilions. They have enough money in their capital fund to pay off one of their bonds. We've got with our bond counsel, and in order to do it, we have to do it with the May 1st payoff. Otherwise, we have to wait. So that's why I'm here today for immediate approval, so we can go to the building authority next.
Does anyone have questions?
I would move to approve immediately the redemption of the Grand Traverse County Building Authority, Michigan Building Authority refunding bonds Series 20048 prior to maturity.
Support.
Moved by Maxbauer, support by Crawford. Any discussion or questions?
I go to the Pavilions meetings every month as part of DHS, and they do an awesome job financially to be able to do that, to be able to pay things off and save so much interest. And
Yeah, this one should save over $117,000 in interest, and they're looking to possibly refund their last existing bond next year once they're able to. So,
I know they're doing a great job.
Sonny?
Well, as always, I hate things for immediate approval. At least in this packet, I had the information. It wasn't laying on my desk when I arrived here. I am a little questioning why we have to make this decision the second week in February if the payoff isn't until May 1st. But we at least had the proper amount of information to make a decision tonight, which is not always the case with these immediate approval issues. Just expressing my concerns about the immediate approvals.
We're going to get
I
you
wasn't
assured.
We're working on it.
I know your concerns with
Well,
immediate approval.
if I didn't say something about it, you'd think I was sleeping.
That's right.
Probably, yes.
I
Yes,
think one of those Wile E. Coyote signs that just hold up,
No immediate approval.
immediate approval.
Does anyone have any questions for Heidi? Okay. Since it's immediate approval, we will do a roll call.
Crawford,
Yes.
Klaus,
Yes.
Wheelock,
Yes.
Maxbauer,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Kropa.
Yes. Thank you, Heidi.
thank you.
Okay, we are on to county administration to the request to have the board hold a public hearing regarding the consolidation of the Register of Deeds and clerk's offices on Wednesday, February 17th, 2016. Do I have a motion?
I will move to hold a public hearing regarding the consolidation of the Register of Deeds and Clerk's offices on Wednesday, February 17th, 2016.
Do I have support? Moved by Maxbauer, support by Johnson. Any questions, or Jen, anything that you needed to add regarding the public hearing date, or?
No, other than this process has been governed by state statute, and there's a deadline for board final action, which is the reason and rationale for setting the date on the 17th and then allowing the 10-day period before the board would be asked to take formal action on the staff recommendation.
Okay. Sonny?
Well, I'm sure all of the rest of you have too, but I've read hundreds of emails from people. I've received dozens of phone calls, You know, I questioned the logic behind this when it was first discussed several years ago when it was discussed, and I certainly have discussed it, you know, questioned it again. I don't see any logical reason to combine these two offices. And the thing that I tend to warn everyone is the documents that these people record are absolutely critical to our posterity. If we get it wrong one time, it's going to affect generations to come. You know, we absolutely have to get this right, and there's no way that I can support merging these two offices. And, you know, if I'm not going to support merging the two offices, I don't know why I would support holding a public hearing.
Okay, Carol?
I have concerns mostly about sort of the process that has gone on to get to even to this point. Normally, we would have a public hearing to discuss the plan, to hear, a plan would be out there to hear so that we could get public input about the plan, that what we want to implement. There isn't a plan. It's very incomplete. You know, I've read over this so many times, and it's just, I think that we're getting the cart before the horse, that there needs to be a study and a plan, and why can't we look for the efficiencies in these departments? Technology can help both departments. I don't see the reason to combine the departments so that we can look for efficiencies in these departments. That can be done anyway, as separate departments, and to take a rather drastic move of combining them before really having a plan to do so, before knowing exactly what it would entail and how much money it is going to save, if it's even going to save any. I think the information is so sparse that we have at this point that to go to public hearing is very premature. I know that there's a timeline and that there's a deadline for this particular thing, but I think that it's such a big decision to do under such deadlines that it wouldn't do it justice, because there isn't the time to study it, to come up with a good plan, to have good information, and I have a lot of issues with good information. In the past, I think commissioners, I know in my heart commissioners really wanted to do the right thing, and they made decisions based on the information they had, that we have found out have turned out to be very, very poor decisions, because it wasn't thought out. The decisions were in good faith, but it wasn't thought out. Things weren't planned out. Things weren't thought through all the way to the end. And I just think I don't want to be part of that. I want to be part of good plans, clear plans, things thought through and studied well and not rushed. And so I don't see even enough information and a reason to have the public hearing without a plan, without information. So that's mine.
Okay, just to remember, the scope of this discussion is just about the public hearing. Because it's not on the agenda, it's not fair to people at home that would have wanted to speak either in favor or against it, and to have that type of discussion tonight is just not appropriate. So, is there any other comments on scheduling a public hearing? Bob?
How many commissioners are we going to have here?
Are you gone next week?
I may be late. And I got an all-day meeting next Wednesday in Lansing, where I may not get out of there till 3.
It's the pesky job thing.
Well, that's my other volunteer thing there.
I will be absent during the public hearing, as well as Commissioner Lathrop, as we put in our dates, that we will be absent at the very beginning of January. And
That's one of the, every department we look at tells us no, that they can't do anything, that they can't change anything that they do. I mean, that's not unusual. We've already seen that the Sheriff's Department's wonderful at that. Can't do anything additional. And at some point, we're going to have to make some decisions. And I know this isn't easy. Yes, I would love to have a plan in front of me to sit here and say, this is what we're doing. But I think at the very least, we could hold a hearing. My concern, though, is if potentially 3 of us are gone,
Christine?
The only other option that comes to mind, and Chris, you would have to weigh in on this, is have it at the end of the month board meeting. You know, I know Dr. Lathrop has access to the internet. I know, well, I don't know if you will.
I don't know.
You're going halfway around the world.
I don't think there's internet where we're
No, but if, Chris, would it be acceptable to have the public hearing at the end of the month board meeting?
You know, my concern is you're coming up to deadlines.
I know.
And I don't know, I don't have the statute in front of me. And I know Jen put together a good memo with the deadlines. My concern is you're gonna miss the deadline, and then if you miss the deadline, then you're gonna have to wait another 4 years to do this. So my suggestion is
Schedule it.
as fast, when you can.
We
You know,
can, we
if it-
can schedule it for the end of the meeting next Wednesday,
The
Bob.
absolute deadline was at March 8th,
Yes.
and a public hearing requires a 10-day,
Right.
okay. March 8th is, oh, Bonnie knows what day it is.
It's Election Day.
There you go. I was going to say, there's something on my calendar here.
Hang on.
You know, you probably, if you go back 10 days from March 8th, you probably would be okay if you went beyond the 17th.
Wednesday, the 24th is the end of the month board meeting. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4,
So you'd have to do it then or have a special
6,
meeting.
7, 8, 9, 10.
That's what I was wondering.
You would have to
about,
take
especially.
formal board action on the recommendation before that March 8th deadline. So-
Right.
So you would have to call, if you were to hold that public hearing on the 27th, which I think is
The
what you're thinking?
24th.
24th.
February 24th.
On the 24th, you would have to wait 10 days, which means you would have to call a special meeting to actually vote on the board action
And it would have to
to
be
merge the
February
two
7th.
offices.
Which would make it
Okay.
February, which would make it March 7th.
So how late are you going to be, Bob?
I don't know yet. I've got meetings from 9 till, right now, till about 3, and it may be a little later, and that's in Lansing.
Yeah, I mean, you could always do your regular your meeting and then schedule the public hearing for 7 or 7:30.
How's that?
That'll work.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Then, on the 17th. All right. Let's do that. That's my motion.
So the motion stays as you stated it then? That was
Yes.
Okay.
We're
I just
gonna-
wanted to make
to-
sure.
What time is it going to be scheduled?
Bob?
7:30.
7:30.
7:30. Okay.
And you know, honestly, I think that'll probably work better for the public because we can get our regular business done at Ways and
And
Means.
they don't have to sit through it?
And people who want to weigh in on the combination, yay or nay, will have a single opportunity where they're not having to wade through what we normally wade through. Okay? All righty.
So the motion on the floor is to approve a public hearing
On the 17th.
on the 17th at 7:30 PM?
Yes.
And do we have any other discussion?
Do we have a second
I
for
would,
that?
yes, we do, Bob.
Oh,
I would assume that this is for immediate approval,
Sure.
since it's a committee this evening.
Yes.
We'll get out the sign for Sunny. So I will go ahead and have a roll call vote.
Klaus?
Yes.
Wheelock?
No.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Crawford?
No.
Kropa?
Yes. Okay, we will have set that. We are on to unfinished business, which is empty new business for the ad hoc committee recommendations. As you may remember, last week, we delayed the beta recommendation. We did meet yesterday with our full ad hoc committee, and this evening, we are going to recommend the appointment of Richard Cochran
Tonight is Sunny's night. They're all for immediate approval.
to the beta board for immediate approval for a term ending don't have it in front of me.
You don't have it in the packet. Who is
It's
it
not
on the
in the
beta
packet
board that
either.
you're,
Richard Cochran.
Richard Cochran.
For
It's
beta?
in, yeah, it's in my ad hoc. I'm sorry about this. I thought it was put in our packet tonight, and it wasn't. I have it here from yesterday's meeting. Here it is. My apologies there. Oh, no, we don't. It wasn't put in there. So I will make the recommendation that Richard Cochran is appointed to the Beta Board for the vacancy that has been advertised for immediate approval.
I'll support.
do you know the term and date or not?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And I'm looking through the ad hoc, and I can, or it was not in our ad hoc packet or this packet. Yep. I can find it, probably.
Parks and Rec, we know.
If I find it and then fill in the date, would that be acceptable for this motion that's on the floor?
It is for me.
Who is he replacing? I can probably figure it out. Who is he replacing?
Somebody resigned.
Oh.
I will find it, it's right here. Originally, this ad hoc met a bit ago, so we had to delay because of Dr. Lathrop's accident. It's not in any of the packets I was given.
It was either Robert, Linda, or Linda that he replaced.
It's downloading.
I'm looking.
There we go. No, I was not provided it in any of my packets.
Ad hoc for Beta.
My recommendation would be that you make the motion for approval tonight, but not for immediate approval, so as that at the end of the month, the board can make final action and ratify it and have the proper information to make the vote.
You know what, I'll just cancel the motion, we don't even need to do it then. But they were meeting again, and they wanted to have him be able to sit. But if you're not willing to do immediate approval because I don't have the date of the term, then I can't change
The
that.
Parks one we know.
Yeah, the Parks one I know. Yeah, I just wasn't supplied the information at all in any of my packets.
Do we have anybody keeping all those records?
Chris Kramer does it.
We do too.
Okay.
I mean, I have it in front of me. I see three people that.
And the only reason I ask, I know in some of the townships and villages I represent, that becomes a big problem, is no one's really keeping track of.
Well, we have
You
new
know,
software, and I don't
even
understand why we
approved
don't have the
software for it.
information.
One thing I could suggest is that you do make it for immediate approval, as is, without the term date, and then you just later ratify it once you have that information.
Okay. We can do that. Then I will make a motion to approve Richard Cochran for immediate approval to the Beta Board.
And I'll still support.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Bonnie?
Wheelock,
No.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Klaus,
Yes.
Kropa.
Yes. Okay. We also approved the appointment of Tom Kachadurian to the Parks Board last week, and I was notified it needed to be done by immediate approval because the Parks Board meets before the month-end board meeting. So therefore, I was asked again to appoint Tom Kachadurian to a 3-year terms to Grand Traverse County Parks and Recreation Commission ending December 31st, 2018.
Support.
Any discussion? Bonnie, roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Klaus,
Yes.
Wheelock,
No.
Max Bauer,
Yes.
Kropa.
Yes. Unless if I'm the only one that had this put in their packet?
I didn't have it in mind.
No, I wasn't supplied it then. Okay. So I hardly want to blame the candidates that were chosen because we didn't receive a proper date in a packet. So I certainly am happy that both of these approved. On to second public comment. Would anyone like to speak? No? Okay, we will go ahead and close public comment. Commissioner committee report.
Let me bring up my notes here. There it goes. At the Council of Governments meeting Monday, we had two of Governor Snyder's representatives, Mike Brownfield, I think it's an interesting last name, and Dave Nyberg. And the county commissioners expressed their concern about revenue sharing. Primarily myself and county commissioner from Emmett County. We had a very, very frank discussion with the governor's representatives and flatly stated that Grand Traverse County would essentially, without revenue sharing, we would face a severe financial challenge. And I said, yeah, I understand that Southeast Michigan is sucking money away from the rest of the counties in Michigan, but you know, at a certain point in time, Grand Traverse County, as well as the other northern counties, are going to reach a breaking point, and that revenue sharing was promised to us, and we need it. Well, Representative Inman met with Governor Snyder, I think it was yesterday afternoon, and he was present at the Council of Governments meeting. And Representative Inman reported to me this morning that Governor Snyder has promised and kept the counties whole on revenue sharing for the proposed budget to the legislature from Governor Snyder. And I wanted to let everybody know because I think that's extremely important as we budget in the year 2017. So thank you, Representative Inman, for meeting with Governor Snyder so quickly. That was a day after he heard the concerns, and there are 10 counties represented at the Council of Governments, so that was greatly appreciated. Anyone else? Sonny?
I attended Long Lake Township's meeting last night. Got there a couple minutes late. They're moving forward with their new equipment for their their independent fire department. It seems to be going well. They did express concerns about the combination of the clerk and register of deeds office. Leaving that meeting, I, along with Commissioner Johnson, attended the public hearing that the DEQ held for the Boardman River Dams project. Not as well attended as I expected it to be. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of testimony given. You know, to be honest with you, pretty much all the testimony that I heard was the same testimony from the same 4 or 5 individuals that I've heard over the last 12 years. So, you know, we asked about a timeline when they thought the DEQ would make a determination, and they said, you know, they can do it in as little as 30 days, but they think this one will take longer. So they weren't willing to talk about a timeline to when they will, in fact, evaluate, notify us whether or not they're going to issue a permit for the removal of the Boardman Dam.
You missed something, Kristen?
I did. I forgot to mention that I went to the Grand Traverse Band ceremony this morning where 2% money was distributed. And on behalf of Grand Traverse County, thanked the Grand Traverse Band for their donations. The press release was out today, and I dropped it's not often I carry over $100,000 in checks across county on slippery roads, but I went directly from the ceremony to the finance office, and I just wanted to let you all know.
Bob?
Yeah, I want to point out Deputy Administrator was there too. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I
saw
seen her
in
when I come in, and I apologize.
Well, as I was sitting there at that meeting, something that kind of hit me as funny was the fact that we were holding the a public hearing with the DEQ about getting the permit to do what they're wanting us to do. And, because I asked them, if you don't approve this permit,
Then what do we do?
what do we do? Because right now, we're doing this based on the, part of the reason is based on potential fines, so.
Why do you think I didn't go to the public hearing?
So I was just, like I said, it kind of struck me as funny when I was there, but yeah, I was actually surprised at how low the attendance. There were more people there from the various groups that are in the project than, we had more people here tonight for this, really, than, you know, which
I'm
we never
repeatedly
have.
appalled at the lack of public interest in the dam debacle, yet.
But it's fun to say that.
Amazing interest in very small things, which is wonderful, and everybody should have interest, but the dam project is an unmitigated disaster. I just
like to get her on speed on that, so that's all.
But I went to 2 township meetings last night instead. Everybody will be happy to know that Randolph Street is going to be 25 miles an hour all the way to the end now, that dead ends at the park. The sheriff was there, very excited because he lives there, and some area residents in Garfield Township did approve with the road commission. Having 25-mile-per-hour signs there, many don't know it was actually 55 once you went into Garfield to the end there, to the beginning of the park there at Hickory Meadows.
Have you all heard the story that Sheriff Bensley told at MTA regarding visitors in the jail? I must share it with you. Sheriff Bensley said that, of course, when visitors are there at the jail to see inmates, they are required to present identification. In January, they started checking the IDs, you know, and whether or not there were outstanding warrants for these visitors.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And Sheriff Bensley said 10 visitors that came in to visit inmates had outstanding warrants for their arrest, and as he said, we kept the light on for them. And he said it's much easier when they come directly to the jail, and they don't have to go out looking for them. So I thought that was, he said once word gets out, he thinks that visiting at the jail is going to decrease. But I thought it was interesting.
There was some county that did like a sweepstakes, and they made it look like you won a sweepstakes, but really you had outstanding warrants. I believe that was overturned.
10 arrests from people who were visiting inmates at the jail.
You don't have to be highly intelligent to be a criminal.
No,
Apparently not.
It's not a prerequisite.
No, I did want to say, I went to the county sheriff's office department awards today, which was really nice, and they recognized officers that were commended by both citizens, you know, writing in, calling, and also by their supervisors. MAD recognized 2 of our officers who had 25 OUI arrests or over in the last year. And one of the most interesting things was 4 citizens were recognized for saving a man's life that accidentally backed his truck in, got confused and backed his truck in instead of pulling out his boat, and was unconscious and underwater in his truck in Long Lake. And these, fortunately for him, there happened to be a doctor there at the boat launch and 3 citizens, and they were recognized today. And the gentleman who they saved, who was quite elderly, was here, and just, he was very excited to share his story and to thank them and just say that he's here today because of them. So it was very nice. And congratulations to Brandon Brinks, our law enforcement Employee of the Year, and Stacy Folgman from the Corrections Division as Employee of the Year. And it was a very nice ceremony. Is there anything else for Commissioner comment? No? Oh, and I did go to the Guns N' Hoses game, and they raised over $14,000 for the firefighter MRF that was in need from an accident, and it was a really nice turnout, and just another reminder of why this community is a great place to serve. No more notices or announcements, no need for closed session, so we are adjourned. And thank you, everyone, for coming out, especially those that traveled.